Welcome to Advent of Tessellations 2024. My name is Madonna Yoder, and you're joining hundreds of folders around the world on this 25-day journey into the infinite world of repeating patterns folded from a single sheet of paper. You'll discover many different twists in this challenge, building up to advanced patterns with hybrid hexagon twists. On day 22 of Advent of Tess, we're folding a pattern I designed called Inlaid. And it's named that because usually when it's folded with more repeats, you don't see so much of this border, you just see this chunk repeated so that these two rectangle hybrid hexagons are exactly the same. So you see the same star shape immediately again on the other side with no extra space for other things. And if you'd like to see the crease pattern for this amount of the pattern folded on a 24-fold triangle grid on a hexagon, you can see that when you're signed up at training.gatheringfolds.com/advent for the email reminders for this series. And we'll be using an open hexagon twist in the middle with closed triangle twists very close in. So this is a higher density pattern than yesterday, at least on the inside, although the density is lower on the outside because the only pleats that have one space between them are closer in between the triangles and the open hexagon, not out with the hybrid hexagons. But anyways, let's go ahead and start folding. If you care which side of your grid is A side versus B side, I'm going to call this side the A side and go ahead and flip over to start folding on the B side. So we're going to start with an open hexagon twist. This is still going to be a right-handed twist, even though we're folding on the B side. So our mountain fold is going to come one spacing above the right-handed corner, and the valley will be one spacing above that. This pleat will go in towards the center, but it will not cross the center because we need that space to put in the rest of our pleats exactly the same as the first one, with the mountains one space above the corners, or you could also think of it as one space above the center point, and the valleys one space above that. And once we have all 6 of those, that can settle in around our open hexagon star. So with that hexagon in place, we can press to squash. And we're going to be putting in closed triangle twists at very dense spacing here. So our valley is going to be right along the folded mountain. And the way I like to do this is to take that existing pleat and the corner of the open hexagon and flip it back so it's in the center of the corner of the hexagon comes to the center of the hexagon. And then, so we have this valley under the existing pleat, and then our new valley one spacing away, with our new mountain one spacing further than that. This is going to be a closed triangle twist. So when we're setting up our third pleat, we're running that mountain exactly into the intersection of the existing mountain folds. And once we have that twist set up, we can go ahead and squash and then return our corner back on top. And I'm going to work around clockwise because my hybrid hexagon twist is going to be on the opposite side of these triangles. So I'll rotate, take the next corner of my central hexagon, bring that into the center. I've got that phantom valley underneath. My new valley is one spacing away. My new mountain is one space further than that. And as I set up this new twist, I'm opening the pleat from the hexagon, leaving the pleat from the previous triangle folded, and folding through, creating a pleat overlap, and squash, and fold the corner of the hexagon back on top. Rotating, I'll repeat the process, folding the next corner in, setting up my new triangle twist with the pleat overlap right at the corner there, and squash. So unlike some of the other pleat overlaps that we've seen, this time the overlap is right at the corner of the new triangle, not the previous triangle. Rotate, repeat, bringing that corner of the hexagon in, setting up my new pleat one spacing away, setting up my new triangle with its pleat overlap and squashing, and then folding the corner of the hexagon back out once more. In exactly the same way. And then for our final triangle, we're going to do a compound wrap down below. So this time when I bring the corner of the hexagon in, I'm not just bringing the corner of the hexagon, I'm also bringing half of the triangle down below. My valley fold, so we have the valley that we folded off of, and then my new valley is one spacing away from that. And that's hitting the existing mountain, doing the same compound wrap we always do, coming zigzagging under, and then zigzagging back out once it hits the existing valley fold underneath. And in order to do that, I'm going to need to pop this point, and this is one space away from the corner of my closed triangle, popping that down and making sure that I have the mountain folds that I need pretty much right away. And then remember, I'm going to need the valley coming out of the lower set of the lower three-way intersection of mountain folds is also going to have a valley coming out parallel to this mountain on top. And then I can finish finding the pleats for my new triangle twist. And this corner keeps wanting to come back out for me, so I'm just going to make sure that my layering is this layer underneath. Then I can pop that new triangle twist into place and lay the corner of the hexagon down on top of it. So now we have our open hexagon and closed triangles tightly around it. We have our compound wrap. I'm going to grab that compound wrap as I flip over. So now I have this area clockwise one pleat overlap around from the compound wrap. So this is my nice big area to work in. We've got that nice star shape formed on side A. And I'm going to need, so there's a couple ways to work on this. Okay, if I were folding an open hexagon, what would it look like? Because both of these two pleats coming in from the triangles are going to be open type pleats. And so they're coming and hitting. So notice this overlap. If I pop it up just a little bit, I start seeing these corners of an open hexagon puffy star. which would tell me that the center is right there. And since these are both open type pleats, I can believe all of that I'm seeing. It's probably going to be easiest at this stage to get this closed type pleat, because we do need that third direction to be a closed type pleat. Easiest to get that pleat in now, so I'm not trying to dig it out later on this side. And then on the top side, if we follow that mountain, so following it through the center and out the other side, we're going to see it creates a tube pleat with the existing pleats there. Now there's one more pleat that it's crossing, but mostly it's creating a tube. I need to be careful at this point not to pop this in. So I don't want to do that. I want to leave that straightened out. And then my two final pleats, one of them is going to form this edge of the hexagon, just like this one formed, well, edge of the rectangle rather. Just like this one is forming this outer edge. And then we need our fourth open type plate coming out and forming that other edge with the pointy hexagon star points. And so from there, we can press the two short edges. If you want, you can lift the sides and press in the pockets from there. And squash this rectangle hybrid hexagon twist. And then it's time to come around and do the next one. And I have this cue of I'm going to have this pleat that creates a tube in here. I'm going to have my valley one spacing from the folded mountain, and my mountain one spacing further than that, which means that as this valley hits the next pleat, well, actually, it means that we're going to need a triangle on this next pleat, and the information that I have that you are about to have is that that triangle is going to be on the B side of the paper. So we're going to need that three-way intersection to be on the valley folds. So I'm going to let the valley run through until it hits the valley below and form a triangle wrap, instead of letting the mountain folds come together and form a three-way intersection of mountain folds on this side of the paper. And then the other piece of information I have is that the corner of this hybrid hexagon, this rectangle hybrid hexagon, is right at that triangle hole. So right there. So I'm going to lift up and let this be a mountain fold all the way into the corner. And that's a mountain fold that's coming from out here. So it's not a mountain that's coming from the triangle. It's a mountain that's coming along this edge of the hybrid hexagon twist. And then popping open the pleat overlap and lifting up, this was my closed type plate that I used the triangle wrap on. And so that mountain is going to continue straight out the other side. And this time the valley is going to be on the outside, closer to the outside of the paper than the valley closer to the center, like we saw on the other side of the twist. And then our final two pleats, well, we already drew this mountain through here, and that's going to create an accordion with the triangle wrap. And we have our final mountain. So we've got 1, 2, 3 spaces on this long edge, and then we have our final mountain coming off. And we can press and make sure that the underside is happy being flattened, and squash. And rotating, I'll do it again with less drawing. I'm going to have a triangle wrap where the valley is going to pop down 2 spaces from this 3-way intersection of mountains under the hybrid hexagon twist. And that's going to create a triangle wrap under there. Then I'm going to make sure to pop up. Notice instead of extending that valley through, I'm going to pop up so that I have a new mountain going in towards my closed triangle hole. And then I'll open up the pleat overlap to let this new mountain from the triangle wrap continue straight through, because that is going to be my closed type pleat. And then I've got these long edges of the hybrid hexagon, the rectangle hybrid hexagon, that are going 1, 2, 3 spaces, and then it goes in 1, out 1, and leads to this mountain fold that's along this long edge. And squash. And rotate. We're doing exactly the same thing, setting up our triangle wrap, popping up to make sure that we're identifying the correct edge of the hybrid hexagon. Then opening up, lifting our pleat overlap so that this new mountain fold from the triangle wrap coming through can continue out on the same grid line. That's our closed type pleat on both sides. And then we finish up the hybrid hexagon with 2 more open type pleats and squash. And rotating once more, I'll repeat again exactly, finding the triangle wrap at tube pleat spacing, setting up the edge of my rectangle, opening the pleat overlap, running this new mountain fold that I set up with the triangle wrap straight through so it can be a closed type pleat on both sides, and putting in my 2 remaining open type pleats, the last of which forms an accordion with the triangle wrap. And then squash this hybrid hexagon twist. So if you've been working through the series, by now you see what's coming next. We've got 1 more hybrid hexagon to put in, and we're going to need a triangle wrap on both sides of the paper, or of the twist. So I can go ahead and put in my initial triangle wrap. And it's not very happy being there until I open up the compound wrap and Always make sure to pop that edge so it's happy. And now I'm running my mountain fold from the triangle wrap straight through, and it's going under this existing pleat from a hybrid hexagon twist, which will back up and wrap around, creating an accordion going out to the corner of the paper. And now we're back to our normal situation where we can find our 2 remaining open type pleats and get everything squashing down onto the table. So pretty dense spacing for this pattern, and that's just going to keep building. Tomorrow is a little bit of a reprieve from the density. So a little less dense, but the triangles are pretty dense on the other side. And then the final 2 days are going to be also very dense with hybrid hexagon twists. So the final step for this pattern for inlaid, we're going to flip back to the B side and turn all of these triangle wraps into closed triangle twists. So this triangle could be used as the position of symmetry in the broader pattern. You can see the crease patterns for the broader pattern and also for a variation that actually has the central hexagon and triangles on the same side as the hybrid hexagons. And by the way, you can rearrange your layers on that central bit however you want. They tend to come unarranged or deranged, as it were, when you're folding the hybrid hexagons. And you can even puff up the central hexagon, so back into that puffy hexagon star, to create a really cool effect when you flip it over to the A side of this hole just dropping out of the rest of the pattern. So that is inlaid. And yeah, like I mentioned earlier, we're going to go to a slightly less dense pattern tomorrow, but we're going to be using asymmetric hybrid hexagon twists. And that's going to be true for the rest of the series, the last 3 days. And I encourage you to play with this pattern, see how you can put it together in new and interesting ways, and happy folding. So make sure to tag me at Gathering Folds on Instagram, Facebook. When you post, use hashtag Advent of Tess, Advent of Tess 24. And if you need help, definitely ask on the Discord server as well as all of the other places that you can reach me. So happy folding, and see you in tomorrow's tutorial.